Yo, so hello guys, how you doing today? We are going to react. This is like my first reaction video. Today we are going to react to his story, okay? His story. Like, look, you can see he's literally verified, I think. Yeah. Huh? iPhone 17 giveaway, one winner, everything. Okay, I don't really care. But let's watch his shorts. Everyone watches, like everyone, yeah. So first short will start.
I broke a world record and became hated for it. My classmate Kaylee was diagnosed with cancer, and the life-saving surgery she needed.
Diagnosed with cancer? And 20 million? No, that's 20,000. Oh my gosh, bro, like, we are already getting started so fast, bro.
It cost too much for her family to afford. My school organized a marathon to raise.
They're doing city marathon. They're going to run until the city. Oh my gosh.
Money for her, and that's when I announced I would finish the marathon in under 2 hours and break the record to raise.
So it's going to take more than. It's going to take more than an hour. What do you mean?
More money. Everyone laughed because I couldn't even finish the mile in gym class, but I said I'd spent all summer training with the best runners in Kenya. I repeated this until local news picked it up, and our county mayor showed up to school asking if I was really going to break the record. I said, I'm doing it for my classmate, and pulled up a video from Fiverr of random guys in Kenya claiming I ran with them in the mountains. He's the best we've ever seen. The mayor immediately announced if I broke the record, he'd fund the surgery. Kaylee looked at
Nice. The mayor will literally like fund the surgery, whatever it means.
Like I was her hero. Now I just had to actually.
Okay, I'm sorry, but that's funny, bro. Like,
break the record. When race day came, the mayor was at the start line with camera crews. The gun went off, and we started running. I sprinted as fast as I could, immediately getting ahead of everyone.
Look how they're running.
Else, as they were going slow, pacing themselves. My heart raced as I sprinted and felt like I would pass out. But then at the 1 mile mark, I saw nobody in my rear view. No reporters, no classmates. Perfect. I quickly ducked off course and into the trees, where Kaylee and her dad were waiting with their car. I got in and we drove off. We spent the next hour eating chips and playing Kaylee's favorite games. Then 1 hour 43 minutes into the race, Kaylee's dad drove me to the bushes 2 miles from the finish line. I quickly checked that nobody was looking and ran back onto the course. I ran as fast as I could for the last 2 miles and came into view of the finish line at 1:57. Even from a distance, I saw everyone's shocked faces and cameras flashing rapidly. I crossed the finish line at 1 hour 59 minutes 45 seconds, exhausted. I collapsed to the floor, and the mayor had his hands over his head in shock. The reporters instantly started writing about the teenager who broke the record, and I was still out of breath when the mayor signed a check for the exact amount needed for Kaylee's surgery. She cried tears of joy, and that's when I took the reporter's microphone and told the truth.
Why is she so fat?
Sprint at the start, the car, the last 2 miles, everyone's faces dropped and the mayor turned red. He was about to get angry, but I said, if you want to make me the bad guy.
Okay guys, I'm literally like recording on my iPad. That's why you can see iPad thingies like
for making sure my classmate lived, then so be it. He went silent as me and Kaylee hugged while her dad watched with tears. She had her surgery, and when she woke up, I was right there. The first thing she told me was, at least now I hold the world record for the biggest world record. And
bro, okay, I'm just going to like edit that, and yeah, editor, please. Yeah.
My sister gave our 6-year-old brother a Chinese candy bar, and he instantly started dying.
I'm sorry if I pause you a lot, okay? You can skip if you want to, okay?
Reagan had spent the last 2 years studying Mandarin in Beijing. She sent us pictures with her Chinese host parents and had our dad send her $500 every month for spendings. But when our brother Max pulled a granola bar from her bag and asked, Reagan, what does this mean? She stared at the Chinese symbols with a confused look like she didn't know a single word. My hands instantly trembled because Reagan was a compulsive liar from the day she was born. I watched her stutter, chocolate and oats and honey, and watched Max ask if there were any peanuts. Reagan shook her head. Nope, no peanuts anywhere. But when Max tore it open and took a a bite, he instantly started wheezing. His lips swelled and his face turned red as he dropped to the floor. Reagan started freaking out, and when Dad came running and saw the unwrapped candy bar, Reagan instantly threw her hands in the air. I told Max the Chinese candy had peanuts, but he didn't listen. I gripped my head in horror and screamed back, "No, Reagan, you read the Chinese writing and told Max it was safe. You've spent 2 years in China. How could you not read if it had peanuts?" Reagan went red, but Dad was already on his knees calling the ambulance.
Oh my gosh. He told his sister literally. Bro, he's allergic. Oh my gosh.
At the hospital, Dad gripped Max's hand while I stood over Reagan in the corner. "Why didn't you tell Max the candy had peanuts?" That's when she broke down and started crying. I never went to Beijing. I spent the last 2 years in Bulgaria with my sugar daddy. I told Max there were no peanuts, so you'd think
Sugar daddy, okay. Oh, sorry.
learned Chinese and never know where I really was. I gripped my head as I realized she'd risked our brother's life to keep up her lie. Suddenly, Dad's phone dinged. A $25,000 wire transfer from Bulgaria. Reagan looked up through tears. My sugar daddy says sorry. My sister gave our I was walking to meet my friend when suddenly I stepped on a loose manhole cover and fell straight down into the sewer. I screamed and landed hard in freezing water. When I looked up, the manhole I'd fallen through was way too high to reach. I yelled, "Help! Somebody!" But no one saw me fall in. Then I heard a deep rushing sound getting louder. Before I could move, a wall of water slammed into me and swept me down the tunnel. As I was being dragged, I wondered how the hell was I going to get out of here. The current dragged me through the dark, slamming me into the walls. I went under and swallowed the nasty poopy water, kicking as hard.
Just one thing. Comment right now or whenever you want. Comment the channel you want me to react. But no, I don't want family friendly. Okay, give me family friendly. Okay, because I'm family friendly. I don't swear.
I could just to get my head up because I couldn't swim. I tried to reach for my phone to call for help, but it was gone. The water had ripped it right out of my pocket, and I had no way to contact anyone. Then I saw a ledge up ahead and attempted to grab it, but my body slammed into the concrete and I felt something crack in my ribs. I screamed but pulled myself up anyway, inch by inch, until I was finally out of the water. I laid there soaked and shaking. I had no phone, no way out, and the manhole was probably a mile behind me by now. Nobody knew I was down here, and I thought I was going to die being covered in poop and pee-pee. But then I heard voices above me. "Hey, he's down here!" And a flashlight hit my face. Firefighters lowered a rope and pulled me up out of the sewer. When I finally got to the street, gasping, my friend was standing right there. "Dude, you smell like but you're alive." I was confused. "How did you even know I was down here?" "I saw the whole thing. I was waiting for you across the street when you just dropped into the ground and I called 911. The firefighters said it took so long because the water swept me so far. I almost cried of relief until my friend held up his phone. He'd recorded me falling and laughed. "Is it okay if I post it?" I was walking to meet my friend.
Yeah.
The mall Santa pulled my son onto his lap.
Wait, now we are just going to watch the videos. No, I don't want to. Haunted by the. Okay, you know what? Yeah, I want to.
It
watch
was the middle of the night as I was hacking through a thick area of heavy leaves and brush
I'm
with my
not
machete,
watching a
and
video
also
that's
attempting.
24 minutes long, okay? Because this video is going to be only 15 minutes. Oh my gosh.
My teacher ripped the switch out of my hands mid-Hollow Knight boss fight and dropped it in her desk drawer. Mrs. Deborah slid the drawer shut and pointed at the clock. "You can come get it back after class."
Subscribe right now, or your phone, or your PS5, or your whatever Xbox. Miss Deborah will take it if you don't subscribe or like.
Weeks I'd been stuck on Nightmare King Grim, Hollow Knight's hardest fight. I'd snuck the switch in to grind through lunch and was one phase from beating him when the bell rang. I figured I could finish in class, not knowing today was test day. Now it was locked in her desk while she was passing out science tests. I was working through question 3 when her shoulders caught my eye. Hunched forward, brow tight, tongue poking out the corner of her mouth. 5 minutes in, I caught a sound from her desk, faint and unmistakable, and it was my boss music. Her thumbs were moving under the desk in tiny, precise bursts, and every few seconds her whole body flinched like she'd taken a hit.
Playing the students, whatever, like his stories, whatever she's literally playing his Nintendo Switch. What is wrong with her, bro?
I raised my hand and asked for the bathroom. She waved me out without lifting her eyes, and I walked the long way around her desk. There it was, my Switch wedged into her lap, Hollow Knight on the screen, 3 swings into the Nightmare King fight. I went back to my seat and stared at the test without reading a single question. The bell rang and everyone filed out and she called my name. She slid the Switch across her desk without looking up from her gradebook. You were 1 phase out from beating Nightmare King Grim. I had time during the test, so I finished him for you. Saves at the next bench. You're welcome, kid. I almost laughed out loud. I picked up the Switch, and the thumbsticks were still warm. My science teacher just cleared Hollow Knight's hardest boss during a science test, and I couldn't wait to tell the boys. My teacher ripped the Switch out of my hands when a firefly bit me at a cookout. I dropped my burger and texted my boss I quit because I knew I'd just been chosen. I'd seen every superhero movie ever made. A bug bites you, you wake up swinging between skyscrapers. My brother asked if fireflies even have teeth, and I told him destiny doesn't answer stupid questions. I gave myself 1 week to master my powers and find my first bad guy. Day 1, I stood in my living room and snapped my wrist at the wall like I'd practiced 100 times. Nothing came out but a sneeze. I figured my powers just needed to warm up. Day 3, something twitched on my back, and 2 wings the size of my thumbnails unfolded behind me. I screamed so loud my neighbor banged on the wall. I could fly. I climbed onto my window ledge 2 floors up, spread my arms, and jumped. The wings flapped exactly hard enough to do absolutely nothing. I went straight down into the dumpster behind my building. Lying in a pile of banana peels, I noticed my hands were glowing. Not glowing cool, glowing like a nightlight in the middle of a sunny afternoon, where nobody could even tell. That was my big superpower. Not webs, not flying, not super strength. Just a human glow stick that was completely useless. The harder I panicked about wasting my 1 shot at being special, the brighter I burned, and I sat in that dumpster, ready to give up. That night, I walked to the corner store still glowing, ready to tell everyone the firefly thing was a bust. 2 guys came sprinting out with the register in their arms, headed right for the car parked behind me. I was so scared, I lit up like a stadium, so both of them threw their arms over their eyes and ran face first into the streetlight pole. They dropped on the sidewalk next to the busted register, out cold. I stood there glowing over 2 knocked out robbers, and the superpower I swore was useless had just stopped a robbery. I jumped up and down, then dropped to my knees crying, because I really was special. Spider-Man could never. When a firefly bit me at a cookout, I was flying on a rescue helicopter outside the Grand Canyon when we got the call.
Please hurry, my sister needs help. This is Kayla. We're at the bottom of the Grand Canyon. My arm's stuck under a boulder and my little sister Dana is bleeding through the belt on her thigh.
I keyed my radio. We're coming to get you. Keep her talking. I checked my watch and announced to my team, it's 110 degrees down there. The bleeding in that heat is no joke. Her sister has around 2 hours to survive and we're 90 minutes away. We were 20 minutes in when the heat turned on us. The air was too thin for the blades to work properly, and our ETA slid from 90 minutes toward the 2 hours Dana didn't have. I keyed Kayla's channel and heard her singing. I spoke, hello? She responded.
I sing to her when she's scared. She always tells me to shut up.
And her voice dropped.
She's not telling me to shut up anymore.
My heart was pounding, but they lost signal before I could respond. Our pilot made an announcement. The engine temperature is redlining. We have a decision to make. We can land and let her cool off, or keep going and risk destroying the engine. Setting down meant Dana bled out while the engine cooled. How far are we? He looked up ahead. Around 12 minutes away. I grabbed the safety handle. We're going. We were 10 minutes away when smoke filled the cockpit and seeped into the passenger seats. Me and my crew braced ourselves as the helicopter started swerving downwards uncontrollably, and the canyon wall swung through the glass. We crashed into the canyon and my eyes slowly shut and I blacked out. I woke up hanging sideways in my straps. All 4 of us were alive and the handheld still worked. Dispatch answered my mayday. Second helicopter is heading towards you. They're 2 hours from your position. That's the fastest we can do for you on a day like this. I started hyperventilating because Dana didn't have 2 hours, but there was no way to get her help any sooner. I keyed her channel, and when I heard her voice I spoke. Kayla, our helicopter crashed and our supplies are destroyed. She responded,
Okay, but Dana stopped answering me a while ago. I've been singing to her, but I think my little sister is gone.
I pressed my forehead against my knees and she kept speaking.
It's so hot down here. Can you come sooner? I don't know how much longer I can hold on.
My eyes filled with tears. Kayla, the next crew is 2 hours out. I was flying on a rescue helicopter. My mother had a chessboard set up in the living room, and every few weeks she'd make just 1 move on either side. It was like she was playing against herself in a game that lasted literally.
How minutes are these even? Like, it's literally a whole
My mother had a chessboard set up in the living room, and every few weeks she'd make just one move on either side. It was like she was playing against herself in a game that lasted literal years. She taught me to play too, but always on different boards, never once letting me touch the chessboard in the living room. That board is special, she'd say, moving a knight or bishop, then leaving it alone, sometimes for months. It had an address on it she claimed was just the store she bought the board. But then one summer she died, and I hosted a yard sale to clear her house. Immediately, a man I didn't know got out of his car and asked me if I had the special chessboard. I said, "How do you know about the chessboard?" But he just smiled and said, "Come with me." I shook my head because I wasn't going to randomly follow a stranger. However, he pulled out a paper and wrote down an address. It was the same address on the chessboard. I got in my car to follow him, and we drove for an hour to the address. I walked to the front door, and an old black woman in a wheelchair opened it. She said my mother's name and told me to come inside. She explained that her and my mother were best friends for over 50 years, but my mother was white, and growing up in the South in the 60s, she wasn't allowed to have black friends. So they played chess via mail for over 50 years to keep their friendship, making one move each time the other's move arrived. I teared up, and when I walked into the living room, I saw a chessboard set up in the exact position my mother's was before she died. I sat down and played the exact move my mom would have made. My mother had a chessboard set up in the living room, and every few weeks she'd make just one move on either. My big brother Patrick showed me his VR headset and said, "Do you want to prank Grandpa?" I instantly nodded because I wanted to play with my older brother. But when Grandpa walked into the room, Patrick placed the headset on his head and laughed. "Check this out, Grandpa. It's modern technology." He turned it on, and Grandpa immediately started screaming and dropped to the ground, shouting, "Please make it stop." I got a bad feeling and asked, "Patrick, what did you do?" But he just pulled out his phone. I loaded up a realistic D-Day simulation on Call of Duty. Right now, Grandpa sees grenades flying at him as well as blood and gunfire. My legs froze because Grandpa had served at D-Day, and it gave him PTSD for life. He was now being forced to relive it. I ran to take the headset off because Grandpa was curled in a ball crying, but Patrick pushed me to the floor. "You said you wanted to prank him." I realized I wasn't strong enough to overpower him, and when I raised my head, I saw him sellotaping the VR headset to Grandpa so he couldn't take it off. Then he took his phone out and started recording. Grandpa sobbed, trying his hardest to remove the headset, and Patrick was doubled over laughing. This is going straight to TikTok. I knew I had to do something because Grandpa had given up trying to remove the headset and was now just praying at the sky. His best friends were getting ripped apart.
Are you literally serious? That girl, I would literally, if I would be the his story guy, I would be like, boom. Yeah, I would like uppercut, punch, yeah, there. He's
Hard by mortar shells in front of him, and he could only watch. I tried to lunge past Patrick to reach Grandpa, but he stopped me with one hand like it was nothing. Then we both heard it. If I've done it once, I'll do it again. Grandpa was rising to his feet, his legs trembling, and I realized he fully believed the war he was seeing was real. He grabbed his cane and raised it like a gun, charging straight ahead. The cane hit Patrick in the chest, and he fell to the floor. I screamed, "Grandpa, stop!" But he was already on his knees, screaming, "Die, German, die!" He jabbed Patrick in the sternum with his cane, thinking it was a knife. My heart pounded as I ran behind him and ripped as hard as I could, and the sellotaped headset finally came off. Grandpa suddenly jolted up, looking at me with wild, bloodshot eyes. "What's happening? Where's the enemy?" He pointed the cane at me. Then he looked down at his grandson under him. Patrick groaned and wheezed, and I realized his ribs were cracked and purple. Grandpa stared up at me, his face returning to normal. "I'm not at war?" I shook my head while heaving. "No, Grandpa, you're at home. Now let's go get some donuts." I threw the VR headset onto Patrick's chest as we walked away. My big brother Patrick showed me his VR headset and said, "Do you want..." A toddler was doing a crossword puzzle alone on the park bench, so I crouched down and asked if she was lost. She swatted my hand away. "I am a 40-year-old woman, you absolute buffoon." I stepped back and saw she was 2 feet tall, and I figured she was just a confused toddler who'd wandered off, so I scooped her up to bring her to the police station, absolutely convinced I was doing the right thing. She kicked and twisted the whole way there. "Unhand me this instant, you enormous oaf! This is kidnapping!" I took out the tiny stuffed bear key ring from my pocket. "You cutie, calm down now." I waved the bear in her face. "Look, someone wants to meet you." She pinched me as hard as she could. "You galloping imbecile. You must have the same intellectual capacity as a houseplant." A mom on another bench pulled her kid closer as I marched past. I held her out with 2 hands at arm's length until we got to the police station. She scoffed. "Now you'll finally see what I was talking about." I took back the bear and set her on the counter. She smoothed her tiny blazer, lifted her chin, and nodded. "Afternoon, officer." The officer nodded like they knew each other. "Good to see you, Diane." Diane. He pointed at me. So, who's this guy? She rolled her eyes. Another idiot who thinks I'm a helpless child. He typed her name into his monitor and turned the screen around. Diane Holding, 43 years old, world's smallest woman. She straightened her tie, lifted her chin, and delivered her verdict. You've made a rather profound error in judgment. My mouth was open in shock, and the bear was still dangling from my finger. She tilted her head. Are you lost? She rallied out the door and climbed back onto a bench to pick up her crossword right where I'd interrupted it, while I stayed behind to explain why I'd hauled a grown woman in off the street. A toddler was doing My older brother gave me a pair of brand new Jordans and said Santa Claus got them for me. I was 8 years old and believed him instantly. Before Kyle, our fridge was empty most nights, and my mom worked doubles just to keep the lights on. Then Kyle started coming home with food, clothes, things we never had before, all from the North Pole. Our neighbor got a brand new microwave, and the family across the street got winter coats for their kids. So when 2 cops knocked on our door one night asking where Kyle was, I lied and said, he's not home, because the only thing Kyle asked for in return was that I couldn't tell anyone. That lasted about a day. I wore the Jordans to school, and my best friend asked where I got them. I told him my brother gave them to me. He came over that weekend, saw Kyle's room, and said, dude, your brother's room looks like a toy store. I just smiled. Kyle gets stuff before anyone else does. Pretty soon, everyone at school was asking me about my brother, and I loved it. I started going around telling kids about how Kyle's business partners drove up in nice cars every couple of weeks to pick up garbage bags full of stuff from our house, about the trucks that showed up at night, the boxes Kyle loaded into them, and how I woke up one morning to $50 on my dresser with a note that said, thanks for being quiet last night, buddy. So when career day came around, I made a whole poster about my brother, stood in front of my class and told them Kyle helped get products to families in our neighborhood who couldn't afford to buy them from stores. My teacher stopped smiling halfway through and asked to talk to my parents after school. That Friday, 2 cops knocked on our door, and I smiled like usual and said, he's not home, exactly the way Kyle taught me. They didn't believe me this time. They came back with a warrant and walked Kyle out of his room in handcuffs. I just stood in the doorway. I didn't understand what was happening. Kyle looked at me on the way out and said, it's okay, buddy. Don't worry about me. That night, I found out what the North Pole really was. Kyle had been stealing from a massive corporation and giving it all away to us, to the neighbors, to anyone on our block who needed it. Every gift he ever gave me was stolen, and my career day poster ended up in his case file. After they took Kyle, the lights got shut off and we lost the apartment. My older brother gave me a pair of brand new Jordans and said Santa Claus got them for me. I was 8 years old and believed him instantly. I was camping with my 5-year-old son when I unzipped our tent at night to pee and came face to face with 3 bear cubs. But when I looked up, a huge mama bear stood right over them, staring dead at me, and let out a low growl. My whole body locked up, and I backed away so slow I couldn't even close the flap. I'm a wildlife biologist, so I knew the one rule: never get between a mama and her cubs. But my son, wide awake on his iPad, saw them through the open flap. Oh, Daddy, I want to keep one! I'd spent all day teaching him bears were dangerous, and now I had to keep us both alive. The iPad's glow caught a cub's eye, and it started waddling straight toward the light in my son's hands. See, Daddy? He likes me. I reached for the zipper to seal us in, but my son lunged past me. Come to Papa. The cub padded right up to the screen next to my son, and the mama's growl deepened into a roar. My chest went tight. I tried to grab the cub to set it back out, moving slowly so she stayed calm, but my son yanked it into his chest. No, he's mine. I'm Papa Bear. The cub squealed, and the mama tore through the flap, her claws shredding the nylon as she forced her whole body inside. She was in the tent, drool roping from her teeth, her eyes locked on my son. My heart pounded so hard I could feel it in my throat, but I couldn't move, because the second I did, she'd attack me first, then my son. The iPad blared a Roblox video, and all 3 cubs' heads snapped toward it. This was my chance. I snatched the iPad off the tent floor and hurled it out through the shredded flap into the darkness. My son's jaw dropped as the cubs loosened from his grip and bolted after the glowing screen, scrambling out of the tent, and the mama wheeled around and charged after her babies. My son dove toward the opening, trying to chase after it. My iPad! I caught him by the ankle and yanked him back into my chest, my hands shaking as the last of the bears crashed off into the trees. Those cubs never wanted my son. They were iPad babies just like him. I was camping with my 5-year-old son when...
Guys, this is where the ends. Oh my god. Why is it so stupid? Okay, wait. Okay, this is the end. Yeah. So, comment, like, and subscribe. Comment which channel I should react. Okay? Okay, don't, like, yeah. Maybe, you know what? Next time I'll do Darman. Yeah, okay. So, bye, guys. Wait. Peace.